say is that I'm heartbroken.
We are here to break down the biggest Bachelor breakups of the year of 2021. We have to get into it. It's been a dramatic year for Bachelor. Hey guys, and welcome back to another shared news. We've got all you need to know about the top 5 biggest Bachelor breakups. But before we get into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss out on any future videos. As always, I am your host and Bachelor expert, Zachary Reality, joined by the lovely and talented Fiona Zaring. And Fiona, there has been quite the dramatic amount of Bachelor breakups this year. We have to get into it and talk about it, but I do want to know, how devastated do you get when a Bachelor couple breaks up? Do you feel like you invested your time? Are you just like whatever and don't care? How invested are you in these Bachelor couples after the show?
I have to say it literally 100% depends on the couple. Like, I'll just call some out. I know we're going to get more into it. Tasha and Zach, devastated. Clare and Dale barely broke a sweat. Like, it really depends on the people. And I think that kind of goes for a lot of fans. So I can't wait to get into all these splits.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good point. It really does vary based on the couple, but I usually get upset if it is like a bachelorette or bachelor couple, because then I almost feel like we wasted a season, especially if they don't try and make the relationship work for more than like a couple of months. So it really kind of depends on the circumstances well. But let's start getting into this because we're going to break down the top 5 most dramatic Bachelor breakups of the year. And number 5 is Brie and Chris from Bachelor Listen to Your Heart. The pair met while filming Listen to Your Heart, which came out in April 2020. However, they announced their split in January 2021. They shared a mutual statement at the time. With deep admiration and respect for one another, we have decided to end our relationship and go our separate ways. We look forward to sharing more updates as we navigate our future of making music together. So they still hope to collaborate together. Unless I haven't been following them close enough, I don't think they have collaborated since their breakup. But if they have, feel free to call us out in the comments below. Fiona, I know you watched Listen to Your Heart. This was like the one couple that really tried to make things work, and they won the show, correct?
They did win the show. I think things got a little derailed. Obviously, the timing of the show fell with COVID. I believe there were plans for them to go on some sort of a tour together. Maybe they did make some of that work. I'm not going to lie. I didn't keep up with them like to the T since they split, but I was rooting for them. When I watched the show, I did really believe in their connection. I know a lot of the people on the show with them also were like, oh my God, they're going to make it. Like, they really are, super compatible, and their connection and their chemistry is super strong. I actually have to say this show seemed kind of underrated. People didn't get into it as much as they've gotten into, the other offshoots of the franchise. So I sort of hoped that for some reason meant that they would make it out, that there wouldn't be as much pressure on them as a couple, that they would be able to navigate things. But they gave it a shot and it didn't work out. I mean, it's sad. I think it's going to be confusing for their music careers, but we'll see where things go.
I liked Listen to Your Heart too. I don't think I watched like every episode, but I liked the idea of it. And I wouldn't be mad if they brought it back for a season 2 because it was nice to see the music aspect of it. So, I mean, this couple, obviously very upsetting if you watch Listen to Your Heart. And I mean, I hope that they do a song together because I do remember them both being extremely, extremely talented. Moving on to our number 4 Bachelor breakup spot, the one and only Peter Weber and Kelly Flanagan. The two met before Peter's season of The Bachelor. However, we all know what went down. Peter did not pick Kelly. He sent her home a little earlier. He went with Hannah Ann, then he got back to Maddie. Now we know he got back to Hannah Brown in between all of that after reading Hannah Brown's book. But him and Kelly ended up connecting a couple months after the final rose. They dated for about 8 or 9 months. They actually broke up on New Year's, Fiona, of 2021. So the first day of the year, or like the New Year's Eve, December 21st, like Peter put up that breakup statement and didn't tell Kelly because I guess she like didn't tell her friends yet. So it ended up being like this whole scandal, but Peter wanted to like go into the new year being over with her. And then that breakup like sparked again in like March when like Kelly started doing podcasts because her contract got up. And then it just went back and forth. And we were talking about them for like literally like 4 months straight. What did you make of the Peter and Kelly breakup? Are you happy that they're finally done, or were you shipping them?
I like have one word, and that is just messy. Like they were messy from the start. They were messy during their relationship, messy when they broke up. Like it was hard to keep up with them. I think that they definitely gave it their best shot. I was not someone who like shipped them super hardcore, but I also am someone who feels like Peter was not ready to be the Bachelor. Feels like he got lost, and he was trying to make the best of every connection, it felt like, and Kelly and him gave it a try, like I said, but it really wasn't right. I never thought that he was mature enough for her. I really liked Kelly during her time on the show. I still really like Kelly, but I don't think that Peter was the guy for her. I do not think he had the maturity to meet her, where she was ready to be in a relationship setting. Do think it's unfortunate that the two of them got sort of messy in the headlines, commenting back and forth, spilling all the tea. We all remember that phase. But I'm happy to say it seems like they've both moved on, moved past it, and they're ready to just be done with this chapter. I think a lot of fans are ready right along with them.
It definitely was a lot of back and forth. And I mean, I think a lot of people took Kelly's side, but Kelly was also like engaging with the trolls, going on podcast after podcast. She did kind of explain that, she's asked about it. This is what people know her for. She has to address it. And then Peter has his own podcast, Bachelors in the City. So he was addressing the breakup rumors or the breakup on his side of the story on his podcast. So it was really just a lot of back and forth for a while. Ultimately, they both agreed to just like stop talking about it. It kind of got brought up again a little bit when Hannah Brown's book came out last month. So we did talk a little bit about it again, but I think we're officially, done with that. And they both seem to have definitely moved on. In number third for the breakup Bachelor scandal of the year, the Clare and Dale. Oh my God. Clare and Dale infamously met on Clare's season of The Bachelorette. She left the season within a week with Dale, got engaged. She really wanted to have those babies. Just 2 months after they left the show together, they announced their breakup. It got very messy very quickly. A couple months after that, they were spotted together. They started dating again privately. Dale said that they were in a relationship, but they were doing long distance as she was in California. He was in New York. And then most recently, I think they ended it for good about 2 months ago. And then we all know now, as of last week, that Dale is in a movie, and Clare says that she got a front row seat to him acting the entire time. Fiona, what do you make of the year that is Clare and Dale?
My heart just goes out to Clare a little bit. I think that she took some bad steps in that first few days of her season. She let herself fall too hard for the wrong guy, who all of us kind of felt like when we were watching it play out, we're not even sure he's here for the right reasons. I think it was an emotional roller coaster year for them behind the scenes. I think she really wanted to believe that she was right when she thought that they were in love, at first sight. And I think that he was trying to see if, they could maybe make it work for the sake of his image, literally since day one. I don't give Dale a lot of grace. Maybe I should be a little softer on him, but I just never believed in their relationships, never really trusted his intentions. Obviously, I think a lot of us are shocked and counting down the days till we can watch this movie and see what the heck is going on with his acting career. I mean, all I want to say is I just hope that Clare seems like she really, really did want to find the one. She really wanted to believe in the fairy tale of love, and I hope that one day she gets that happy ending.
Absolutely. I really hope she finds her Prince Charming one day as well. And Dale's movie will be out in 2022. We don't know where, but we will be watching. And I've always compared Clare and Dale to the Chloe and Tristan of Bachelor Nation. Like, their year saga was just so intense, and like Dale was just clearly not as into it as she was, but she also was just like perpetuating the pettiness and the drama. So glad that they are done. Now we're gonna get even more messy, Fiona, because the number 2 biggest Bachelor breakup of the year, Katie and Blake. They got engaged on Katie's season of The Bachelorette earlier in the summer. And I mean, they were living in 2 different countries. It did not work out very well. They ended up announcing their breakup after 3 months of trying after the show aired. I think they only saw each other in person maybe twice after the show, maybe 3 times. And then we all know what happened with Katie's infamous 12 Days of Messy, where she gave Blake the song "We Are Never Getting Back Together" and then announced that she was dating another guy from her season, John. Fiona, do we think that this was messier than Clare and Dale? What was your thoughts on Katie and Blake's breakup?
Katie and Blake split. This is one that did genuinely make me sad. I was actually
Oh.
happy to see Blake crash Katie's season. I believed in their connection. Like literally before she was announced as the Bachelorette, I think I'm one of those people where if I had to pick someone to ship her with from Bachelor Nation, it would have been Blake. Like I think there were a lot of components of good chemistry between the two of them. Obviously, we talked about her season a lot. We all gave our thoughts on how it was playing out. And I think that I did have high hopes for them as a couple, even though Greg, kind of left and gave her no choice but to choose Blake. I did believe that there was a chance that these two could really have something. But the cards on the table, the distance between them, living in two different countries, on top of that, him going to Africa, where let's face it, it was not going to be easy for them to keep up a FaceTime relationship while he was literally, working with wildlife in Africa. I think there were too many cards stacked against them. And, it just kind of all fell flat quickly and sadly. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, it really just I don't know. I never thought the engagement was super real. Like I definitely supported them in the moment and was wishing the best for them. Seemed to have a lot in common, but the way they broke up and everything that happened after, it kind of seemed like they were contractually obligated to stay together. And now we see that Katie is in a happier place with John, who actually lives in the same town as her, let alone country. So I think she will be happier with John. And, we wish them all the best. Maybe Blake will be the next bachelor, maybe he won't. But the number one biggest bachelor breakup and the most recent one, of course, is Tasha and Zach. You got to take a deep breath for this one. Tasha and Zach got engaged on Tasha's season of The Bachelorette last year. They lasted about 10 months together. In those 10 months, Tasha moved to New York City. She became a Bachelor international superstar, hosting Michelle's season, hosting Katie's season, posing on the cover of all of these fancy magazines, while Zach really tried to stay out of the spotlight. Leading up to the breakup, there was a lot of drama revolved around them running a marathon together. A lot of people noticed that Zach was not really, maybe he wasn't supporting Tasha, or maybe it was just the competitive juices, but apparently people saw something go down between them at the marathon and it really spiraled into a dramatic breakup, which Tasha briefly talked about it on Michelle's Men Tell All just a couple of weeks ago. Tasha revealed that she is heartbroken. She tried to make it work. It's not easy and that she still loves him. Fiona, how do we feel about the Zach and Tasha breakup? Do we even think it's officially over for good?
Yeah, Zach, this one absolutely devastated me, absolutely broke my heart. I think that this is maybe the saddest I've been to see a Bachelor Nation couple split ever. I really liked Zach on Tasha's season, but I really loved their dynamic after the season. I thought it was so cute that he was like her cheerleader, staying outside of the limelight, not trying to capitalize on his 15 minutes of fame, really just dedicated, to his foundation and to his marathon training. And she, was shining and really, really like soaking up the spotlight, becoming an absolute Bachelor Nation icon. I feel like based
Literally.
on how devastated she was on After the Final Rose, maybe the door is open. Obviously, I think everyone, I almost shed a tear. I think a lot of people did when she said she was heartbroken, whether or not, that moment where she got up and ran out the stage. The whole thing overall was definitely gut wrenching. I don't know that there is a future for the two of them. We've got some sources basically just saying, well, there was, definitely a lot of good between them. They just were not in the same place. They just were not looking for the same things out of, life. And that eventually it got in the way. If we think about it, they did spend a lot of their first year together, their first real time in the real world apart. She went and she hosted two Bachelorette seasons on location. Those were huge chunks of time that they could not spend together. They
Mm.
obviously were trying to make a life in New York come together as a couple, but we know she still remained fairly bi-coastal, in the first time of their relationship in the real world as well. So maybe it was just too hard. But I'd like to think that there was love there. And I believe Tasha when she says that she still has love for Zach. The question is just, will they ultimately be able to find a way to be together, or are they just too different of people looking for too many different
Yeah.
things out of this life to make it work? I don't know. What's your
It
take, Zach?
definitely Yeah, I mean, I think they were living different lives. I think that they kind of grew apart because they had different priorities. So I think that's ultimately what led to the end of it. I don't think that there was a lot of like judgment, but we do know that Tasha was the one who ultimately ended the relationship and that Zach was the one that didn't want it to end. Based on the men tell all, I think that there still is hope. My fingers are crossed. That was a devastating breakup. I love them together. Zach was my number one on her season. And it was definitely the hardest one for me to swallow out of all of the relationships that broke up. I would say the easiest one for me to swallow was probably Claire and Dale. And I want to know from you, Fiona, what was the hardest for you to swallow and what was the easiest for you to break away with?
Oh my God, we are so aligned. I have to say, Tasha and Zach, so hard to swallow. Haven't fully given up. I mean, maybe it's foolish, but
Mm,
I am holding out a little bit of hope. I really believed in them. So that one is definitely tough. And I'm with you, Claire and Dale. It came together too quickly. It was too much too fast. It was too rooted in some sort of impossible fairy tale. And I just don't think they were as good of a match as Claire hoped that they were from day one, unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah. And we want to hear from you guys. Out of all of the Bachelor breakups, which one was the hardest for you guys? Which one was easy for you guys? What was your favorite Bachelor breakup? It was a dramatic year. And what do we think the Bachelor should do moving forward to prevent these breakups? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel and ring the bell so you never miss out on any future videos. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined by Fiona Zaring. Our social media handles are on the screen right now. Feel free to come on over and say hi, and we will catch you guys in the next video. So thank you for listening. See you later. Bye.